Welcome back from me, Deborah McPhillamy, to part 5 of this mini 5-part EQ series. So I'm going to be talking to you about environment and how environment affects your emotions. And there's not a lot of people that talk about this, and I'm not sure why, because I think environment is fundamentally important, because we know about the science of emotion and how your brain creates your emotion and how you can almost manipulate that or understand that or clear that or redirect it. But the one thing that to me is so vitally important is about how your emotions are affected by your environment. So when I talk about environment, I'm referring to not only where you stay, where you sleep, where you live, your community, your country, but I'm also talking about your body's environment, because your body's environment is obviously your organs, everything that makes up your body, and how your emotions are affected by the environment of your body and what you put into your body. So if you're looking at things like food, chemicals, things that you're inhaling, Wi-Fi in the environment, so there's smells. So there's a lot that makes up environment and how that actually affects your body. So hormones have a massive impact on your emotions. So we all know, particularly as women, we have these cycles, and it really, really affects the way we feel, and it affects our behavior. But there are other factors as well. So if you look at children and you give them too many sugars, too much processed food, too much junk food, anything like that, really has a massive effect on their emotions because of the chemical reaction that happens within your body when you ingest it. So, everything in your body is, or what happens in your body is affected by your hormones and your chemistry and the almost like pharmacy of drugs that your own brain and your own body creates. So, thinking about, if you can imagine, and I think this is what is hard for a lot of people because they haven't connected the dots. But think about a pill that a doctor gives you, and a doctor says to you, what, you need a sedative. How does that affect your body? Your body calms down. If you have depression, you might be given antidepressants. So anything that you put into your mouth and that you inhale also has a chemical reaction on your body. So as I said, sugar, colorants, there's just so much. But the other things that affect our emotions is music, noise, colors, lights, broadcasts, TV, radio. There's just so many environmental aspects that affect our emotions. And once again, if you're not aware of this and how that affects you and why it affects you that way, you can't change it. I think it's so important, especially for people who are raising children, who are educating children, to have this understanding, because when your body is in a state of stress, it's going to react in a certain way. So, and if you have these environmental factors, so say for instance, you're giving your child a bowl of cornflakes or Cocoa Pops or something sugary, then you're sending them off to school, you have now created a massive effect on their hormones, on their sugar levels. And by the time they get to school, they would have had a crash. Now they can't sit still. They're either sleepy, they can't concentrate. Then they are seen by the educator or the parents, whoever, that they're either hyperactive, they're naughty, they misbehaved, they can't concentrate, whatever. So there's a lot of labels that can put on children then, because parents and educators haven't actually looked at the environment that affects the child's emotions and in turn affects their behavior. Because remember, they're all connected. So feelings, emotion, they're all connected. So when you're eating too much sugar, or you're not eating it with a protein or whatever the case may be, it creates this chemical reaction in your body, which affects the way you feel, which affects the way you behave and act. So if a child or an adult doesn't have enough fats, enough omegas, has too many colorants, the same thing. There's these huge chemical reactions that go on. So there's a lot of case studies that have been done about how you can actually reverse ADD, ADHD, and everything else in these behavioral type problems by looking at a child's diet, first of all, and changing their diet, giving them healthier fats, removing colorants, removing artificial sweeteners, removing normal sugars. You know, between artificial sweeteners and sugars are actually better than the artificial sweeteners, because artificial sweeteners are chemical. So there's a lot of factors that affect behavior. So emotions are not only just affected by, you know, the information that comes in through your senses, but also by what you put in your mouth and what your body does with it. So it's very, very important to know this, because you can change a lot of behavior by changing your diet and changing what is going on in your environment. It's the same as with noise, overstimulation. You know, we live in such an overstimulated world these days, where there's so many smells, there's so many colors, there's so many lights, there's always something going on. And as I explained in a previous video, that, you know, our brains emit frequencies, but they also receive frequencies. So if you can imagine, there's so many signals out there now, there's so many Wi-Fi signals out there, that your brain doesn't always know how to process it, or it feels overwhelmed, which will leave you feeling anxious, which will leave you feeling hyperstimulated or overstimulated. So that's another factor, and we go into more detail in the course with this. But I wanted you to be aware of this, because emotions and behavior are there's a little bit more to it than just believing that a child or a person is misbehaving, or they overreacting, or they being too sensitive, because there's so many factors at play when it comes to how you feel, how your emotions manifest, and the behavior and the actions based on that. So environment is incredibly, unbelievably important. So we're at the end of this mini EQ series, and I really hope that it has given you a lot of insight and some information, and hopefully it has actually created more of a sense of curiosity for you, because what I do know for sure is that this is something that you really can turn around. Now, you know, when I went into this field of emotional intelligence, I was quite overwhelmed with the whole process, because I was like, how on earth am I going to change this? What am I going to do about this? What can I do about this? Because I didn't like feeling the way I was feeling, and I wanted to help my children to feel better about themselves, because they had been bullied at school. They were having their own problems. And so for years and years and years, I did an incredible amount of research. I did a lot of testing. I did a lot of trials with a lot of groups. And basically, I came up with a system to help people to develop their emotional intelligence. And I did it in a very simplified, yet incredibly effective way. Now that you've watched this 5-part series, I'm sure that you can see and understand why I can make that statement about how being emotionally intelligent is more important than anything else in your life. It's more important than developing your IQ. Developing your EQ is going to give you the skills and the insight, the knowledge, and the information to have amazing relationships, an amazing relationship with yourself, amazing relationships with your partners, your children, your parents, your colleagues, with the people that you work with. So as I said, I hope you have enjoyed the series and that you have gained some insight for yourself. And if you want to go on to teach this to other people, then please, get in touch. Sign up in one of the links below if you have any questions. I've also put the links below with regards to the groups, where you can join the groups and you can ask me as many questions as you like. But if not, and this was just a little bit of an overview that has helped you to have a better life and to understand your emotions on a deeper level, I hope that it's helped you and that it's given you a deeper understanding. So from me, Deborah McPhillamy, this is the end of the series. Thank you for tuning in. And I do hope to see you again, possibly in one of my groups. Take care, and here's to your new journey of being EQ. Bye for now.